Hey, welcome back to the Big Red Zone. We are very excited for today's show. Remember, new episodes come out every Thursday. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Big Red Zone. And as always, tell a friend. This week, we have a very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, our podcast number one fan, Joseph _ Celia is here. We'll talk to him about how he first got into the pod, talk to him a little bit about himself. Then we'll get into weekend recap, always picks of the week. We'll do our way too early awards for the NBA season and also cover the MLB postseason. All that and more on this week's episode of the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. This is the Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I'm joined by Danny Football.
Through hellfire and brimstone, here we are.
Danny Football is ready to break his computer. Now he's ready to move on to the phone. He's having a tough time.
I'm going off the grid.
He's gonna just completely go into hiding. No electronics whatsoever. But let's talk about it. We got a very special guest on the pod this week. We've been hyping this up for a couple weeks now. We got Big Red Zone's number one fan, the man, the myth, the legend, as I already said, Joseph _ Celia is in the building. What's going on, Joseph?
Happy to be here.
It doesn't feel right for me to call you Joe or Joseph. I feel like I have to say Joseph _ Celia.
That's totally fine.
I feel like
getting the plug in.
It does, yeah. It plugs your Instagram. Everyone go follow him. But it just doesn't. For over 2 years now, we've been saying Joseph _ Celia writes into our people's topic. So
exactly.
Being the last season of the Big Red Zone, we had to get our guy on. And we're excited to have you on the podcast.
I'm excited to be here. Like I said, I think it was I was either on Twitter or Instagram one day, and either I followed you guys or you followed me, and I put a people's topic in, and I just started listening to you guys, and you guys are very insightful. You offer different types of perspective with sports. So and my favorite part is the people's topics. You let the people decide on what they want to talk about.
We were thinking about renaming it to the Joseph _ Celia's topic. Or the people's topic brought to you by Joseph _ Celia. Something with Joseph _ Celia in the name.
I think there were a couple of weeks. Where like I was like the only one that had put one in, or like I was one of the few that put one in.
Yeah, and sometimes we just said, you know what, this is Joseph _ Celia's day. We're gonna just read his people's topic. He's got, we're running a little behind. This is his topic. And before the show, I just kind of noticed this. This episode is 140 of the Big Red Zone, so that means Joseph _ Celia. It's only fitting. This is his 100th episode.
Oh wow!
He joined us with. This is Joseph _ Celia's 100th episode.
Wow. What a coincidence.
Just a little round of applause to him.
Nice.
Round of applause.
Nice.
Standing out.
He's been through it. You know what I mean? He's been through all the ups and downs of the Big Red Zone. It's great. It's awesome to have you on. And like I know we talked a little bit before coming on, and I know I talked. John was very hyped up that when we had him on the pod a couple weeks ago that you were going to be coming on. So I'm seeing he's a working guy now, so he goes to bed pretty early. But I texted him and said, "Why don't you give Joseph _ Celia a good people's topic?" So we'll see if he writes in on time. But before we get into the weekend recap and all the sports stuff, we just wanted to talk to you for a little bit and ask you a few questions about joining in.
Yeah. So I reached out to you guys and I said I would be honored to be on the podcast, talk to you guys about sports. For our lovely listeners out there, I'm a big sports guy, an aspiring sports writer or broadcaster. And so sometimes I'll like reach out to like, local podcasts, um, listen to them, hear their insights, their opinions on sports, and I just felt like going on one like this, it's just a golden opportunity just to, talk to different guys, see what they have to say, um, things like that. You guys
Yeah.
are you guys are a great podcast. Like I said, I'll listen to you guys on my way to work, on my way home from work. Um, there was one day where I was literally painting in my basement for like a couple hours, and I think I had missed an episode from the week before, so I listened to like 2 straight hours of you guys. So
Wow.
listen,
This is big.
I hate painting, so it really helped the paint job go by faster.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mrs. Big Red would not listen to me for 2 hours. So that I'm gonna have to tell her that next time. Joseph underscore Celia, listen to my voice for 2 hours. I don't want to hear it. That's awesome, man. And thank you. Obviously, we have a face to the people that listen is Joseph underscore. He's the
Yeah.
people's face of the fans. And it like I said, it's great to finally meet you because it's been 100 episodes of you writing in, and I think John asked if you write in every episode, and I think you do. I think that maybe you missed one or two, but
I've missed a couple, yeah.
But you've written in for over 100 episodes, and it's great to finally have you on.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned how you first got into it. You would just happen to find us on Instagram. What now in those 100 episodes that you've listened to, is there a favorite episode that you have, or is there any moment that is one of your favorite? Because as we said, this is the final season. Is there any moments that you can think of that have been some of your favorites?
There's a lot. I mean, there's so many. There was like one moment where you that like was memorable for me. Was like you guys literally like a week or two before. I think it must have been an episode that I had missed where you talked about Barry Bonds for a while, about how like he should be in the Hall of Fame, whatever. And literally like 2 weeks later, I had said for my People's Topic, do you guys think he should be in the Hall of Fame? And you guys are like, did he not listen to us? Like that like struck a nerve. Like he's like, absolutely, he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we get nervous. We get nervous that the man, the myth, the legend is not listening.
Yeah, no, like that was like a little like funny moment where I'm like, oh no, don't worry, fellas, I'm still here.
I think you did write in the next week too and said, don't worry, I'm still listening. I think you did. I think I remember you making a comment about that too.
Overall though, like I thought you guys did a really good job, especially with the Celtics and the I think you guys do like a really good job with the Celtics, just covering them, like trade ideas, all those good things. I've given you guys a couple like trade ideas, and you guys come up with some like juicy takes on a lot of things. So like I think my favorite part about the entire thing was because the Celtics are my favorite team in town, and you guys do I think you guys do the best job with them.
Yeah, they just locked up this opening night win, so
yeah,
already after the races.
Already off to the races.
Big time. What do you think? We're gonna go 82-0? Is that what the?
I don't see why we can't.
I had us going. I think I had my rankings. I had us going like 55-27. I'm like, that's feasible. I think
that's doable.
I think that's pretty feasible.
Yeah.
I think they should be. I think they very well could be in the 50s and win like high 50s for wins. This team is stacked, and especially is stacked. And we don't have Rob, but I mean, we just proved it. We just scored 126 points without Rob. Gave up 117.
Rob will be back. It's looking like the coaching. Coaching's not going to be a problem. Patting myself on the back for that.
Yeah. Good call by Danny Football. Danny Football was not phased at all by losing our
Unfazed.
Is there any that was the segment that you said, is there a favorite episode, favorite guest that you've listened to? Is there any
I always enjoyed the episodes with Kevin from Big Brother.
There it is.
There it is.
I always enjoy those ones.
Shout out Kevin.
Yeah. And
We,
he's I've seen him a couple times like in person, like when I've been like running, going on like a 5-6 mile run, and like I'll see him like walking by. I'm like, oh, Kevin, what's up?
You
Yeah.
say Big Red Zone.
Oh yeah.
Shout
Yeah,
out
yeah.
Kevin. I saw you on the Big Red Zone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was great to have him back on, and we may try to get him on again one more time before we wrap it up. But he mentioned he wanted to come back on when because he was in LA for the finale of Big Brother. So yeah, that was Danny Football's favorite episode, the first Kevin episode.
Nice.
Yeah, is when he started divulging about the dunk contests and everything like that.
The dunk contest, Mr. Massachusetts, how he almost got recruited for basketball, all that his Prince, was it, he got a tambourine signed by Prince?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it Prince? Something like that.
It was, and he he talked to DJ, like,
And he was like,
DJ,
yeah, I was gonna say he was really good friends with like half the Celtics team.
the 86 Celtics, or the 84, might have been the first championship team.
I think so.
Yeah, it just, yeah, he had some crazy story, and that one was funny because we normally do the whole intro and stuff like that. And when he got on the pod, when we came on the Zoom, he talked for a good like 5-10 minutes before that, and we finally just hit record and just got it because I was like, we got to start catching this stuff. Danny Football, do you have any questions for Joseph_Celia?
Yeah, I'll toss a couple his way just because the first question is I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting him to be a mask guy for whatever reason. So Joe, where are you from?
Bridgewater.
Oh, okay, Steve. Right down the
BSU
road.
alum.
BSU alum.
There you go.
We found
Okay.
that out before the pod. We talked about it. He's a BSU alum, like our man producer John. Yeah, it was. And he graduated the year after I did. Former BSU athlete. We're both former college athletes.
What was Joe athlete in?
Cross country and track and field.
Look at that. Look
Yeah.
at that. BSU, just a pipeline of greatness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? I'll give them a shout out. The women's tennis team made it to the semifinals today.
Good for them. Good for them.
Look at that.
Giving a little handout with just volunteer assisting right now during the fall season. So give my expertise where I can.
Advisor. There you go.
Just giving my knowledge when I can give it.
Perfect. Joe, had you been to a Rocks game or no?
Rocks. I think the last Rocks, maybe like 8 or so years ago. I used to go to a lot of them when I was younger.
Okay, I was gonna wonder how small of a world we were talking here, but
well, is he gonna come out this year? We have the Savannah Bananas coming in.
well, I was more wondering if he's like, yeah, I was in a game, like I went to a couple games in 2017. I'm like, Jesus Christ, we're all in the same goddamn stadium.
Danny Football worked at the Rocks with me in 2017. That's when I met the Mrs. Big Red and Danny Football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Steve really cashed in on the intern class of 2017.
There you go.
Yeah, the Mrs. and the Mister, I guess.
There. I'll take that.
And then my future tennis
opponent.
well,
yeah.
Do you have any predictions for that match?
Is that finally happening?
I don't know. She did write into a people's topic today. I was just getting Joseph_Celia's take on it.
Oh, I thought you were asking me. I'm like, dude, I'm betting the house on Steve.
I appreciate it.
Bet the house.
I don't know if you've heard from the past episodes, Joe, but we've had our friend Paige writes in every week talking about how she wants to play me in tennis, but she's been ducking me for 2 years now. And I don't know. She doesn't listen to this part of the show anyway. She just listens to people's topics. So
You're not wrong.
She's got to listen to the entire thing.
I know.
No, she refuses to. It'll never happen.
We dropped. I think her dad listens to the whole show.
Her dad does. So maybe her dad will kind of clue her in.
Yeah. But is Danny Football? Can you remember? Now this is going to be a tough one.
Okay.
Can you remember or do you have off the top of your head a favorite Joseph_Celia question?
Man, I feel like he's giving us a good like couple of hypothetical ones. I'm trying to think of one now.
Question. I like when you give us like the trades and who would you rather have?
Oh yeah.
scenarios.
I know there
The
is
Mount
one.
Rushmore.
Oh yeah, Mount Rushmore. I've given
Mount
that one.
Rushmore was a good one.
There was one where it was at the time when the Celtics were doing very badly, when they were like 18 and 21, and I like dug Marcus Smart a grave and sent you guys like a novel about him.
Oh,
Yeah, I do remember that. I think you said should they start moving? Did you mention Smart and maybe Brown?
I
Or did
I
you
I think I
start
remember.
thinking about Brown?
I think it was I don't know if I think I said like um Brown I would only trade for like a certain amount of players in the league. Like but like they're players that like the other team would not like accept. Like I think I said at the time like I trade Brown for like Embiid, Jokic, and Luca. That's it. I'm like, yeah, they're not giving them up.
Yeah. I remember it came a couple weeks ago. There's very few times I'm usually stumped on the show or can't think of something. I usually could think of something, but it was what was the athlete you don't respect?
that was
That
a good
question.
one.
That was
Oh
a
yeah,
great
yeah.
question.
That was a good
No
one.
matter what athlete do you not have zero respect for? And I was like, I have no idea. That was a tough one.
Mine, there's like a couple that come to mind, but I've never been an Aaron Rodgers supporter, and like I just think I mean like
I haven't either. I
mean
just
like
don't get it.
fine, like I respect his talent, like he's a extremely talented quarterback, but just like the way he carries himself and just the way he throws his teammates under the bus. um I just and not to mention like I think his hair I saw it in the in the thing, he looked just like ridiculous. And then I was actually at the game when Tatum dropped his career high against the Nets, and Kyrie was basically like booed out of the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Kyrie's another guy where I'm just like I
Kyrie's
really
up
could
there.
care less.
Kyrie lied to my face
He did.
Yeah.
Steve was in the house for that
Oh,
one.
you were in the house for that.
when he said,
He
"If
was.
you'll have me, I want to resign here next year." The whole crowd went crazy. He wants to have his name in the rafters, and then less than 3 months later, he's
I
already
won't
done.
be the reason no one wears 11.
Yeah, oh man.
Yeah, that's
Since he said that, I think 3 people have worn 11. So
Yeah, who
Kyrie,
wore
Yeah.
who wore it
Kyrie?
last year?
Pritchard, isn't Pritchard 11?
Yes, you're right. You're exactly right.
Kyrie, Ennis Cantor, and Pritchard.
And then, because Cantor joked about it. He's like, I don't want to be the reason no one wears 11. I'm like, by all means, please.
But is now Joseph_Celia did mention he is sad to see the podcast end. Do you have any hints to any great questions that because we need absolute bangers going down the pipeline for the end of the season?
So I have a couple in mind, but I'll save them for like next week's episodes, the ones after those. But yeah, the one for tonight I think is an interesting one.
I like
And
that.
Joseph_Celia is gonna read it live on the podcast.
Perfect.
Oh, I'll read it
Perfect,
live.
perfect.
He's there's only been I think 3 people to read people's topics on this podcast. It was producer John, myself, and now Joseph_Celia is in fine company.
Nice.
But we're happy to have you on. And without further ado, let's get to our first segment of the night, Weekend Recap.
It's the Weekend Recap.
For Weekend Recap, we cover 3 games from the NFL week, 2 random ones, and then one obviously is the Patriots. First one up, we have the Bucks versus the Steelers. Bucks drop a bad one. This is a bad loss for them. Impressive win for the Steelers. Have a lot of adversity. I mean, we talked about it last week, how it's a rebuilding year for them. Again, John just sent a people's topic. I just got sorry. He sent you one. John sent one to you. Again, the Bucks don't look like the Bucks of old. I mean, Tom's showing some age here. The offense just doesn't seem to be clicking. But with that said, I think the Bucks are going to figure it out. I still believe in them. Until Tom Brady proves me otherwise, when it matters, I'm still going to believe in them. It's not going to be the dominating fashion of 2 years ago or even a little bit of last year. But I still think they're going to be fine in the end. I think the whole NFL is wide open. And there's no one, unless your name is the Chiefs or the Bills, there's no one that's really head and shoulders above the rest. Like, I mean, the Eagles are the best team, have the best record in the NFL. And if you told me that the Eagles dropped 3 games in a row, I wouldn't be surprised in that. I think they're starting to gain momentum and gain respect, but I wouldn't be surprised if that team falls off a little bit at the end of the year. But just general reactions. We'll go to Danny Football first, but general reactions to the Bucks dropping this game to the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, you got to nail it. Not a good look for the Bucks. I mean, clearly struggling. Offense just can't find a groove. Whether it's Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. As far as I can tell, it's a lot of. I think it's becoming a big issue with Brady, especially with going to Kraft's wedding on Friday, not being with the team, flies himself to the game, flies himself back. He's yelling at the offensive line on the sideline. Everyone's just the lack of communication is startling to me. I don't think Todd Bowles is well equipped to handle this kind of team. Neither was Bruce Arians, but at least the team was kind of clicking offensively and putting points up and playing defense. They're not doing either of those this year. I'm with you in saying that I think they'll find their way. They're just too good not to. And I think this has become it's a theme in that they get off to a slow start and kind of find their way back. But this team doesn't look as good as the teams of old, like you said earlier. So when I look at this Bucks team, I just see like they could win the division still, but I don't know how far they're going in the playoffs. But on the other side of it, you got to give credit to the Steelers. Kenny Pickett, rookie, just getting the job done. Chase Claypool getting involved. Najee Harris actually scores a touchdown. Starting to place
great.
Yeah. Starting to piece it together. So, I mean, you have to kind of tip your cap to the Steelers and look over at the Bucks and say, are you guys absolutely dropping off the face of the earth here, or what are we doing?
Yeah, and I mean, not even just Pickett. I mean, Pickett goes out with an injury. You have Mitch Trubisky come in and throw a touchdown as well. I was going to say that it's the first week I've sat my first-round pick in Najee Harris, and he goes out. He has a nice little touchdown day. Thanks a lot. But, I mean, we talked about it last week when we were doing In the Hot Seat, how we said, what's his name?
Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin. We were saying Mike Tomlin, even though he has a losing record, he's not going to be in the hot seat this year at all, just because of based on what he's doing, and it's a rebuilding year. I think this kind of win shows why he won't be in the hot seat, and he kind of has the job as long as he wants. Is because he finds ways to win, especially with a team that's on paper significantly worse. And I mean, I don't know if, like you said, the Kraft wedding had something to do with it. Tom's late, kind of late traveling with the team. He travels himself. I don't know how much of an effect that had, but I don't know. This team,
It's not a great look.
It's not a great look. I think the team, like I said, will find its way. It's a typical Tom Brady Patriots team where they play their worst in September and their best in January. And we'll just have to see, if they can kind of get to that level where I don't think they have to be dominant to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. I just don't. I don't think
anyone has to.
I don't think the NFC is that strong. Like, it's strong, but it's even. You know what I mean? I don't think it's
right.
It's not like they're like last year where you had the like the Rams putting up 50 points. You had the Bucks putting up 50 points. You had the Packers putting up big points. You just had all these teams, big offenses. I really don't see it. Like, yeah, the Eagles are good. Yeah, the Giants are winning games, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like I don't think you have to be spectacular to make it to the Super Bowl in the NFC. Now in the AFC, you got to go through those two juggernauts, but I'm not too concerned. Joseph underscore Celia, what's your feelings on the Bucks and the Steelers going forward?
So, like when I watched this game, I was watching clips of it through Red Zone, and then like I was watching some highlights. Like my biggest takeaway, at least with me, was like Brady went to Kraft's wedding and like didn't fly with the team, and I think he skipped some Saturday.
He didn't go to the Friday meeting.
Yeah, he skipped a meeting, and yet he's yelling at his O-line in the game. Like, I just think that's just a bad look.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good look.
It's just a bad look. Like, Brady's always been like a team first guy, and I think now it's just getting to the point where it's like I don't know if he's kind of like lost touch of reality or like what it is, but this has like been just the weirdest year of Brady I've like ever seen. And I mean, props to the Steelers. They literally they showed out. I mean, I know my buddy was in a what do you call it, an eliminator challenge bracket, and he got knocked out because of that game. So like, I mean, like I said, credit to the Steelers, but at least like the Bucks, they offensively they don't look right. I mean, like I said, you have Evans, Godwin, what's his name, Fournette, which is interesting. I think I read the other day. I think he only has like one rushing touchdown on the season, but he has like three receiving.
Yeah.
So it's like weird. Cameron Brate, even though he just hurt his neck, but
the rookie looks good.
Their rookie looks good. But their defense I won't ever question their defense. I mean, Todd Bowles is a defensive minded guy to begin with. I mean, like they have a bunch of studs on that defense, so Tampa's defense will show up almost every week, if not pretty much every week, where it's the offense that just looks shaky.
Which is surprising.
Yeah, I know. And with the Steelers, like my takeaway with the Steelers, like I didn't think Trubisky would have looked as decent as he did once he came into the game, and like kind of like hold on to the ship. But like he threw the touchdown. I think it was to Claypool.
I think it was to Claypool.
Yeah, and of course
I think
I had
Pickett's was to Najee.
Yeah, and like I had Claypool on my fantasy bench. I'm like, oh wow, it's his first touchdown in the season.
Yeah, he had a good day.
Yeah, he did. And I feel like that's like the at least like with the Steelers, even the AFC, as like rough or as overrated as like it's been. I mean, like going into the season, I thought the Broncos would have been better. The Broncos, the Raiders, the Colts. Like I all thought those would have been.
We sat here. We called the Raiders a dark horse team. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I thought the Raiders were going to be right there. I thought because they were a wild card team last year. I thought they were going to be like making a little push. Don't even get me started on the Broncos. They're a
mess. They're a mess.
I needed Cortland Sutton to get me 6 points, and he got me 4. I was so ticked off.
Hackett's got to go. Hackett's got to go.
Yeah, he's just bad. He can't make. He doesn't make good calls. It started on week 1 when he wasted all the time to kick a field goal from like 70 yards. And then it was like he tried to set the world record for a field goal instead of going, just paid Russell Wilson all this money. You have Javonte Williams still healthy. You have Cortland Sutton. You have Jerry Jeudy. Am I missing anyone? Mainly Russell Wilson on
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. And you don't go for it on 4th and 2. or 4th and 3, 4th and 1.
Yeah.
Like it was like within 3 yards. I was like, what are we doing here? To kick a 70-yard field? Like, what are we doing? And then
And
everyone
like
was
like Hackett just I don't know, but like those teams I all said like would be definitive like better teams and like not just the Steelers but like the Patriots, but like just how wide open the AFC is now. It's like I mean the Steelers are what? They're 2-4 now, so like if they pull together a couple more wins, they could maybe
they're
dig
right there.
themselves out of this hole. Yeah. It's wide open.
I mean,
I
no
mean-
one's running away with that division. So
No, yeah, I know.
Yeah, that division. I mean, like yeah, they're a game out of first place. It really is. Like the Bengals, I think, are going to start to put it together.
Yeah.
I think they'll start like they're kind of in the same camp as the Bucks. I think they're going to slowly start to put pieces together. They've just had a really big Super Bowl hangover. The Ravens just blow games. That's going to be their kryptonite. If they can figure out how to hold on to a lead, they'll be good. They just blow so many leads. It's like it's crazy.
The Browns are the
Browns, I don't put much faith. They're looking for next year when they get the the guy back, their guy back, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I thought the Chargers would be a little bit. They don't look as crisp on offense as I thought they
No.
would be. I mean, they're 4-2, but like if you ask me how confident I am in the Chargers, I'm not as confident as I was before. I mean,
not even after last night. I mean, Jesus Christ.
No, I was calling for Justin Herbert to be the MVP this season, preseason.
Same.
Like I thought
Yeah.
this was going to be his year, but I don't know. And then like the AFC South is totally open.
That's the worst division in football.
Yeah, it has to be. Like it's just there's nothing. There's no. I mean the Titans, Colts, the Jags look good for 2 weeks, but I don't know. That's just a losing team. But
Then they blow a game at home to Houston.
Yeah. But
Like-
I was saying, like, I think going into the season, I said there's a chance that there could be the whole AFC West makes the playoffs.
Mhm.
There was a chance that I thought that would happen. And like, if one team wasn't going to make it, I didn't know what team it would be because I was like, the Chiefs, obviously, Chargers are going to have a good year. And then I thought the Broncos would be right there. I thought the Raiders would be way better. If you told me that the Jets would have a better record now than the Raiders, I would say you're crazy. Jets
I
are
would have laughed in
4-2.
your face. Yeah.
I can't believe the Jets are 4-2. It's a crazy year. It's like fantasy football. There's two. I feel like, and this is a good question for you, Joseph _Celia, because we're in different leagues. I feel like all the leagues I'm in, there's a couple teams that are maybe undefeated or one loss, and then everyone else is 500 or below.
Mhm.
Like everyone is beating everyone. Like it's all like I'm 1-4 in a league, and I'm a game out of a playoff spot.
Oh, so yeah, exactly.
It's like I don't. It's just a weird year.
I'm in a
NFL.
league where I'm in 5 leagues, and one of my leagues there's 3 teams that are 5-1, but then there are 3 teams that are 1-5. So it's like
Crazy.
it's like one or the other.
But before we get too far off track, let's get to the second game. This was the game of the week, I think, in my opinion. We got the Bills versus the Chiefs. A rematch from the playoffs a year ago. Bills get their revenge. I think Aaron Golub called this game last week. Shout out to him. Gets another win in the win column for the guest picks of the week. Joseph _Celia will hope to add to that. But Bills win this one. It was a close game throughout. Again, came down to late game heroics. They win 24-20. Josh Allen is just. I think he's the. Did you call him for the MVP, JD Football?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Because that's a great call. Because I think he's looked like the best player in the NFL. They got the best They got one of the best wide receivers in football, and Stephon Diggs. Rumor has it they could have one of the best running backs in football. Christian McCaffrey could be traded to there very soon. But I think this is a preview of the AFC Championship game of this year. I think these teams are going to be the 1 and 2 seed, depending on how it shakes out for the rest of the year. But overall, great game. Juju kind of had his coming out party. Travis Kelce just continues to prove why he's the best tight end in football. But these two teams, I feel like it showed, are in a league of their own in the NFL. I mean, they're like how we compare to fantasy football. They're the 5-0 teams. They're just the top of no one's going to catch them in the regular season. They're going to be in first place. I hope you get lucky in the playoffs. But they're just going to coast to the end of the season, I think. And but it was an unbelievable game.
Yeah, this was a good game. It kind of came down to just like the AFC Championship game between these exact two teams last year. Good to see the Bills pull this one out, especially you never know how much time is too much time for Pat Mahomes, and was not able to pull it out this time. So the Chiefs pull it out. You have it here in the notes, AFC Championship preview. I wouldn't be shocked if they just run it back and do it again. Both these teams are completely stacked on offense. It literally just comes down to whoever has the ball last or has the ball with just enough time left. The way I see it is if you play this game 10 times, you're going to get 10 different winners. I don't think anyone takes a 10-game series out of this.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm still sticking with my Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. I still think they win in crunch time, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it's a toss. I think it's a flip of the coin who wins that AFC Championship game.
My takeaway from this game was I actually read this stat. It was like the Bills in like since like Josh Allen's like been on the team or something like that, in like close games they were like 0-7 or like 0-8 or something like that. So like I'm happy they finally won like a close game. Because I feel like that's like the one knock against Josh Allen is like he can't win in close games. I mean, he almost pulled it off in the what do you call it, in the playoffs last year.
He should have.
Yeah,
That should have been
like,
a win.
I think
13 seconds.
But like, I mean, my biggest takeaway is like literally like Josh Allen is like he is the real deal. This is not like the guy that I was like trashing on when he was a rookie, and even a little bit in his second year, where I'm like, oh, the Bills muffed on another guy. I'm like, time to go draft like their next quarterback. But like, he's one of the few guys where I've ever seen like just really flourish, take a little bit extra time to really become into his own. I mean, it's a toss up for who I'd rather have as my QB, Allen or Mahomes, because like I think Allen definitely is more physical. But I think like Mahomes just like sees the game and like in a little better way. I think he's a better game manager. I mean, from the Chiefs' perspective, as I mean, they have some good names on that defense, but I think they still need to make a couple acquisitions if they really want to. I mean, they are going to keep contending, but if they want to like get themselves as just like a clear cut favorite, they got to add to this defense because like I feel like that's been their biggest knock all these years. It's just like their offense is just explosive, but their defense is what they need to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially after an offseason losing Tyrann Mathieu, and then I think they have some injuries on that defensive side of the ball. Wouldn't be a bad idea at the trade deadline to try to go in and get some defensive players to add to that team. But overall, great game. Like I said, AFC Championship game preview probably, and I'm looking forward to see what happens come the end of the season. All right, let's get into our boys, the Patriots. Big win over the Cleveland Browns. Zappe started second NFL game of his career, gets a second NFL start win as well. They win this one 38-15, pretty convincing. They moved to 3-3, still in, I think, last place in the division. But I mean, you have to be happy with how Bailey Zappe played. 309 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson got 2 touchdowns rushing as well. And Tyquan Thornton, big day for the rookie wide receiver. He gets a rushing touchdown and catches a touchdown as well. Overall, the offense exploded. I have it in the notes here. It is early. Like, I still want to see more from Bailey Zappe before we start saying he's the heir to the throne. But he's looked really good these last 2 weeks, and it seems like the offense started clicking. Now, my question is it because he's playing some really crap defenses? Like, he played, some terrible last week. Well, this week he plays the Cleveland Browns, which, I'm not too, it's the Cleveland Browns. Let's be real with that team. And then last week they played the Lions, which have one of the worst defenses in the league. Do you think it's more the time of the schedule, or do you think it's Bailey Zappe? I don't know what the answer is, but I'll tell you, he's looking good, and I hope they keep riding the hot hand and let Mac just heal up and take his time coming back.
Yeah, this is something you and I were going back and forth about when we were apple picking on Sunday during the game. But I think you mentioned the schedule. Like, it's definitely the schedule is definitely part of it. But we say this all the time. We have to beat the teams that are in front of you. And, if you want to be in the playoffs, you have to beat the good teams. And if you want to get to the playoffs, you have to beat the bad teams, because that's how you pad the stats. So Bailey Zappe can't help if he's standing across from the Detroit Lions or the Cleveland Browns or taking the Green Bay Packers to overtime. So I'm not going to hold it against him. Is it probably helping his case? Absolutely. But again, you have to go out there and still win the ball game. And he's looking good doing it. He's mobile when he has to be mobile. He makes the throws when he has to make the throws. Doesn't make too many mistakes. We kind of went back and forth. How do you approach this? And I'm kind of with you. Is you ride the hot hand, like you ride this kid until he either loses or doesn't look good, and then make the switch, go back to Mac, and then see how Mac does. And if this turns into a competition, so be it. But I don't know how you pull the plug on this kid without any sort of reason to do so. I don't know how you look at Bailey Zappe and what he's done over the last couple of weeks and just say, all right, your time is up. It's Matt Jones. And I just think you have to let this play out. You have to see what you can get out of this kid. And if it means, creating a controversy, then so be it, because then that's just 2 guys who are going to go out there and want to earn that job even more.
My biggest takeaway from this game was, or even just like the Patriots in general, like, I think it's clear cut that Matt Judon is by far, I think, the Patriots' best player on the team. I mean, just every week he's just making more and more plays. He's getting after the QB. He was kind of like the Browns kind of held him in check in this game for the beginning of it, but then like towards the end, like he was starting to like really pressure Brissett. And like, props, Dietrich Wise was really helping him out in that game too. Tyquan Thornton, like, he looked awesome. I see like a lot of everyone was like saying the Pats found their new guy. Like, people are saying they remind him a lot of Tyreek Hill, the way he plays. And I said, he reminds me kind of similar to how the Bills use that Isaiah McKenzie guy.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of that in that regard. As for Zappe versus Mac, I guess what it comes down to is, the Browns and the Lions are arguably the 2 worst defenses in football. And I think a lot of it, what it had to do with in the Browns game especially, was the Browns just made a lot of just dumb decisions in that game. I mean, it was at one point, I think it was in the first quarter, it's 3rd and 2, or it might have been the beginning of the second. It's 3rd and 2, and they were going for a run, and they screwed up the handoff. He dropped it, and then they got sent back, and then it ended up lost 7 yards on the play. It's 4th and 9, and then Dan Campbell decides to go for it. Like, what are you doing, dude? Take the 3. Like, I read that the Browns were in the Lions were in field goal range. I think it was like 5 or 6 times in that game. So if they just decided to kick even 5 of those times, 5 of the 6 times, what was the 29-15. So that's not a complete blowout. It's a totally different game. So I think by default, Zappe just looks good, which he does look good. Don't get me wrong. And then as for like the Browns, like kind of similar to the Lions game, like they're just making a lot of like unusual defensive decisions, especially. But I think actually, what it comes down to is we changed our offense this offseason, and I think we kind of made it a little more complicated for Mac. And I think now that Zappe's in, we've kind of like dumbed it down a little bit for him just to make it a little more simple. So I feel like to like really make it fair, once Mac comes back, if we kind of run this kind of similar offense the way we're running it with Zappe, so we can get a real understanding of how Mac can handle it. But that's just how I think of it right now. Right now, I'd still lean Mac, but if they decided to roll with Zappe, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I think they're in and I don't think there is as much of a quarterback controversy per se with this team, but like with the Cowboys, they have Dak coming back, and they had Cooper Rush go either 4-0 or 5-0 as a starter, and then they just lost the other day, the other night, and now probably Dak's back and he's going to start. I mean, Dak's an established star in the league, so you're probably going to have him start regardless. Whenever he's ready, maybe you don't say when he's actually ready if Cooper Rush keeps winning. But first loss, you go to the other guy. I think you're going to keep riding this guy until Mac. I mean, Mac had a high ankle sprain, which usually takes, 4 to 6 weeks anyway. And he's on this is week 4 right now. So he probably would be out this week anyway, minimum, if not a couple more weeks. And you're playing, the Bears, which, let's be honest, they stank. And it's on Monday Night Football. You get an extra couple of days to prepare, extra day to prepare. I'm not too concerned with sending out Bailey Zappe out there for that game. And then you have the Jets the next Sunday, which I think they're going to be fine with trotting out. I mean, they look good. The Jets are good, but not.
That's suddenly become a game.
Now it's like a closer game, but I think I still trust Bailey Zappe in that game. I'm not too concerned. And then you get to the Colts game. The Colts, it's a flip of the coin what Colts team you're going to get any given Sunday. Matt Ryan's either going to throw 300, 400 yards or he's going to throw 100 yards. So you don't know. It depends on the defense, depends on what they're going to do. Jonathan Taylor hasn't shown up, so you don't know what that's going to do. The Colts have a better defense, but I think that's going to be the first test for Bailey Zappe. So I could see Bailey Zappe starting until the Colts game and then going from there. But like I said, ride the hot hand for now. I think Bailey Zappe, no question, starts against the Bears. And I do think Bailey Zappe in the future is going to be a stud in this league, without a doubt.
I like it.
Let's move on to our next segment. We're going to do our picks of the week.
Picks of the week.
For picks of the week, we pick one game from the NFL upcoming weekend. Up first, I'm going to go first. I'm going to go Chiefs over the 49ers. 49ers look good. They had a bad week last week. They're going to be home, but the Chiefs, I think, are going to have a big bounce back week. They lost a tough one to the Bills. I think they're going to come back firing. Travis Kelce may have 5 touchdowns. Who knows this week? We'll see what happens, but I'm going to go Chiefs over 49ers.
Big pick, 5-1. Got to keep pace. So I'm going to jump on the Pats bandwagon. Did it last week. I'm going to do it this week. We're going to do Pats over Bears. I think the Bears are a trash team. They're just not good. So the Pats are on the come up. This is going to be another bad defense. It's going to be another bad team. Bailey Zappe's going to walk all over these guys on Monday Night Football. I hope everyone. I think we said it last week. I hope everyone's betting with us right now because 5-1. I don't know if we've ever gotten off to this hot of a start with NFL games
10-2. 10-2, Danny Football. I mean, I hope you're betting on
combined.
our game. 10-2 combined.
3-1 for the guests. We're
3-1 for the guests. Listen to the guests.
13-3. 13-3.
We got to listen to the guests. So definitely stick with our 3 picks.
I'm going to do something different. Like, I'm going to go with the Thursday night game. I'm going to go Cardinals over Saints. The Cardinals are getting Hopkins back this week. I mean, we don't know what he's going to look like, but hoping I've been reading he's been going like to practices. And then you have they just traded for Robbie Anderson too.
Yeah.
So like interesting to see like if he's going to play in this game. So that gives Kyler a new weapon to throw to, especially with Marquise Brown. His foot injury is actually looking worse than it looks, or than we thought. And plus, I just think the Saints, they're a very hit or miss team. I mean, same with the Cardinals, but I got a feeling with the Cardinals this week, especially with Hopkins coming back, that it'll be an interesting game, and hopefully, it'll be an entertaining Thursday game because these past couple Thursday night games have not been good at all.
Thursday Night Football stunk this season, and it stinks that it's on Amazon.
I know.
I can't watch the games. Like I look for the third, and no bars have the game on.
I think
either.
we're losing one of the Pats Bills games to an Amazon Prime week.
Doesn't seem right, Danny Football. It doesn't seem right.
I can give you guys a couple suggestions of places I've gone to that have the Amazon Prime. I'll have to send you guys a couple of those.
Send them in the DMs there.
Oh yeah,
definitely check it out. All right, let's move on to waiver pickers of the week. We'll go reverse order. Joseph_Celia, do you have a waiver pickup of the week?
So this guy was like fully healthy from what I saw. It's that rookie receiver for the Giants, Wan'Dale Robinson.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, especially Sterling Shepard's out for the year. Darius Slayton's very like hit or miss. Kadarius Toney's all banged up. I just feel like by default, Wan'Dale Robinson will see a lot of these targets from Daniel Jones. I mean, he had a touchdown last week, so he can only go up from here.
I have him in Dynasty, so I hope you're right. Yeah, I mean, someone's got to catch the ball. I like that pick. I'm going to write that. Yeah. Danny Football, who's your waiver pickup?
I'm going with Zay Jones, another wide receiver for Jacksonville. 26.9% owned in leagues. I think that Jaguars team is just such a roller coaster that I don't know how much you can really trust him. But if you're kind of thin and wide out, might as well take a flyer, see how he does.
I like it. I'm going to go with Joshua Palmer, 30% rostered on ESPN. Last week, he had 12 targets and 9 catches. Seems like Herbert's looking his way. It does get a little hairy when you start mixing in Keenan Allen if he ever comes back. But I mean, it looks like Herbert's looking his way a lot. So he has had double digits most weeks of this season so far. So if he's still available, I would definitely take a waiver on him. Try to get him. All right. Let's move on. This is a favorite segment of ours. We've done this a bunch of times over the last few years. We're going to do the way too early awards. And for the way too early awards, it's for the NBA preseason predictions. I know they started tonight. We already had a couple games in, but we're going to do, early before the season starts, pick our award winners. We're going to do MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man, and Coach of the Year. So without further ado, let's start with the Coach of the Year. I'm going to go with Tyronn Lue. I'll start us off. Tyronn Lue, I think the Clippers are going to have a big bounce back year this year. I think Kawhi healthy is a game changer. If we can get Paul George healthy and playing as the number 2, I think he's going to be good. And I think the Clippers are going to take a big step forward this season. So I'm going to go Ty Lue.
I'm going Joe Mazzulla.
Go C's,
Celtics.
baby.
Go C's.
No,
Go
zero
C's.
change. Ride or die. Banner 18. Interim coach.
I love it.
I also had Ty Lue. Yeah, healthy Kawhi, healthy Paul George. That's a deadly duo in the league. I think that just automatically, if they're fully healthy, if you can get even 65 games out of the both of them, that should get them like a top 3 seed in the West.
I like it. Always feels good when I'm on the same side as Joseph_Celia. All right. What do we got for 6th man of the year? Zach, do you want to start?
I got Poole. I just based on the criteria of the award and how good he is, I gotta go with Poole.
Joe?
So I actually tweeted out all my predictions for this year. And I had my 6th man of the year as Malcolm Brogdon, our Boston Celtics guy.
There we go.
Hey, go C's.
Go C's.
I like that pick. I also went Poole. I just think he's too good of a player. He's not going to start. He's going to come off the bench, and I mean the guy should start on any other team. So he just got his big contract. So I'm going to go Jordan Poole as well. Joseph_Celia, what do you got for Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year, I got Jabari Smith. I think he's going to fit really well with the Rockets. So, I mean, what's his name? Jalen Green, Kevin Porter, there, and they got that center too. I think his last name's like Sengun, something like that.
Yeah.
I think Houston has some sneaky good young talent on that team, and I think he'll fit right in with what Houston's trying to build.
I like it. Just pulling up mine. I just lost it. Sorry. Come on, Red. Where'd it go? I just had my notes for him. I'm going to go with. I know the guy. I had my notes. I liked him in college a lot. That's why I picked him. I'm going Keegan Murray. I think he's going to have a good year. He's one of my favorite rookies in the draft. If the kid from the OKC from the Thunder didn't get hurt, I would have said him.
Oh, Chet.
If Chet was available, I would have said Chet. But I think he has a good chance to be, competing for it next year. But I like him. He's going to be on a team where he gets a lot of opportunities. He's going to be the top guy playing for the Kings. He's going to get, a lot more opportunities than some maybe other rookies do. He won the Summer League MVP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he did.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a good sign. And I think he won the MVP. Here, I'm finding my notes now. And he averaged 16 points in the tournament. So he's gonna get points, which everyone looks at. Points are the attractive stat everyone loves. So he's gonna score points, especially on the Kings. And I mean, he already won the MVP of the Summer League. Might as well win the Rookie of the Year. Day football.
I'm just going to piggyback you on Keegan Murray. You pretty much nailed everything I could have possibly said. So he's on a solid. He's in a great position to really just take off from here. So I got to go with Keegan.
I like it. Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to go with Rudy Gobert.
Safe bet.
A new team. I think he is going to have a little more juice this year. I know we've kind of bashed Rudy the last couple of years on this podcast, but I think, new environment. I think he's going to get a little extra juice. I think he's heard the hate that he's that he's had the last couple years, especially from us. He doesn't like us. So I think he's going to have a new opportunity, and also the Defensive Player of the Year award minus Marcus Smart, which is the first time in how many years that a guard's won, always goes to a big that blocks shots and rebounds. So I just think Rudy Gobert does both of those things to a T. There's a couple other interesting picks that I saw at the top of the odds board, but I think Rudy Gobert is just a slam dunk preseason pick.
I'm gonna go with Michael Bridges. He narrowly missed it last year. I think he comes back for a revenge tour. I think Michael Bridges takes it home.
I like it.
I actually went with Bam Adebayo from Miami.
I like Bam too.
I mean, I feel like he's usually in like the top 5, top 10 of Defensive Player of the Year voting, and I think this year this will be his year where he really takes off.
I like that pick. He's always there in the end, and someone always beats him out for that award. All right, the big daddy here, the big award of the season. We got the MVP award. Who do you got for MVP, Joseph _Celia?
With my not even so much of a hot take. It's more of just like, I have the best player in basketball, in my opinion, winning it this year, and that's the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I wouldn't say that's a hot take. I feel like he's already won it,
because some people say like it's still LeBron, some people say it's still Durant. I think it's just Giannis. He'll have a healthy Middleton this year. They added Joe Ingles. I think he'll be used more as a distributor, especially to take some of the load offensively off of him. I mean, so that means he'll just be more of like a stat sheet stuffer. But I just think Giannis is better when he, drives and kicks and just creates for his team, puts the team on his back when he needs to. I think this will be a good year for him.
I like it. Dave football.
I wanted so badly to go with your pick, but I'm going to go with Steph Curry. I just feel like it's inevitable.
Yeah. So my head says when we did this, my head says Luka Doncic. I think this is his year to win it, but I'm going to go with my heart first for the preseason. I'm going with a guy that's already has 35 points. He's averaging 35 right now. 35 and 12. I mean, if you don't think that's an MVP numbers, I don't know what is. I'm going the one and only Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum.
He's having his breakout year this year. I think the loss in the finals shook him and Jaylen Brown and the rest of the Celtics. They want to win. I think this is going to be one of the most determined teams. They have the finals experience, and Jason Tatum cannot be stopped. I think he's going to average at least 30 points a game by the end of the season. He's already at 35, so just has to keep that pace. And I think there's a strong chance. I don't know if he actually wins it. I'm going with my heart on this one. I hope he wins it, but I think there's a good, strong case that he could have an unbelievable year this year and shock the world, as it may. So those are our way too early awards. We'll see. We'll do it again mid-season, and then we'll do it at the end of the season, predict how it's been over the full year. We're almost ready for, I think, the mid-season one of our NFL awards. So we'll be getting into that soon. In the next couple weeks. See how it changed from preseason. All right, let's get in. We're going to do a little MLB postseason review. The divisional series is all ended. Not too happy with what happened in the American League. Cleveland lost today to the Yankees in a 3-2 series loss, or win if you're the Yankees. Yankees had to win the last 2 games, one on the road, one home. Interesting call not to have Shane Bieber pitch Game 5. I was kind of surprised by that. Win or go home on the road. You think you go with a veteran or experienced guy, but not. That's why they get paid the big bucks. So the Yankees go on. They're going to play the Astros, who beat Seattle 3-0. which I was disappointed to see Seattle go out that quick. That series I really don't care about. If I had to pick one, I think I'd pick the Astros over the Yankees, but that's very close. Do you have any predictions, guys, for that series? Or who do you want to see? We'll do what we did last week. Who do you want to see win the series, and who do you think is going to win?
I want the Astros, and they will win that series.
I also want the Astros. I think, with all like the hate they got in the past, like being cheaters and everything. I've since like day one of this year, I just felt like this is kind of like I just had a gut feeling that this was like the Astros year this year. Even though the Dodgers won 111 games this year, I still felt like this was the Astros year this year.
Especially after losing the World Series last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Astros are going to win, and I hope they beat the Yankees. I can't see the Yankees in the World Series. Phillies beat the Braves, which I was a little surprised in. Beat the Braves 3-1. I wrote in the notes, this is bad for the Red Sox because Dave Dombrowski's in Philly. You have Kyle in Philly. I know one person I think one piece away. They're one piece away from being just absolute dominant factors. And they have a couple combinations to this player, and that's Xander Bogaerts. I think there's a strong chance Xander Bogaerts goes to the Phillies this offseason. And the fact that they just keep going further and further is not good in my book. So I need them to lose ASAP, and for the Sox to give Xander Bogaerts an extension right away.
Extend that, man.
Predictions, fellas. Do we think it's going to be – well, sorry. I'll get to the next series. Padres, which I predicted. Write it down. I said the Dodgers are going to choke this one away. Padres beat the Dodgers 3-1. I wrote, love to see it. The Dodgers had their Mickey Mouse championship in 2020. And they'll take on the Phillies in the NLCS. What do we think of this series? Phillies, Padres. It's a little more, as much as I said I want the Phillies to lose, at least it's a little more enjoyable from the NL side. I'm still picking the Padres, and I hope the Padres win, but it's a little more of an interesting series because it's two teams that we haven't seen there in the past.
The Phillies took game one today, so that's kind of gonna affect my judgment here.
Did they already have? I didn't see.
They played game one.
Did they?
Yeah, Phillies won 2-0.
Gosh darn it!
So
it does affect the judgment.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Phillies based on this, but I think the Padres can make a good series out of it.
Who I want to win, I want the Padres to win solely because I like the story. They've been bad for so long. And they're doing this all without Fernando Tatis Jr. But who I think are going to win, I think the Phillies are going to take this series. But that doesn't mean the Padres, won't put up a fight. It very well could go the Padres' way. But gun to my head, I'm going to say the Phillies will take that series.
And I have to ask, guys, predictions before we get into before the NLCS is over. It's already the LCS have started. But who do we think is going to be who do we think is going to win the World Series this year out of the 4 teams remaining?
I think it's the Astros to lose.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like what I said before, the Astros, at the beginning of when the season ended, I said the Dodgers look like a juggernaut, but right now I think it's lining up to be the Astros. I can see an Astros beat the Phillies in 6. So mark that down. Astros in 6 over the Phillies.
Right down.
What's his name? Altuve. You got Altuve. You got Alvarez, who I think is the second best hitter in baseball after Judge. I mean, he hits a mean. He hit that one off of who was it? It was the walk off. Who did he hit that off of? Anyway, like they're loaded with talent. They got Kyle Tucker. He's underrated. Yuli Gurriel, and then not to mention their pitching staff, McCullers, Verlander, who's still kicking. I think it's the Astros.
I'm sticking with my Padres pick from last week. Padres over the Astros.
Nice. I like it.
I'm going to ride it till the wheels fall off. All right. This is a segment that Joseph_Celia is no stranger to. It's our final segment of the night. It's the people's topic.
It's the people's topic, baby! People's topic.
So for people's topic, you write on our Instagram and Twitter page at Big Red Zone. Leave us a comment. Let us know you want to talk about this week. We'll end with Joseph_Celia as always. But let me read these ones. This one comes from on Instagram. eFits94. He says, "How about them Jets?"
I mean, they're not an automatic 2 wins anymore. So, I mean, they're definitely on the upswing now.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely it's a crazy league when you're saying the Jets are going to be an interesting game for the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see the Jets do this well so far. I mean, I want to say that it's kind of a fluke, but a part of me feels like, hey, like that was an impressive win over Green Bay. I mean, the Miami game when they won, they had their third string quarterback at that point. The Jets, they're definitely making things interesting, and the city of New York should be happy. I mean, they got the Giants and the Jets both doing well.
Yeah, great. Well, New Jersey.
New
Great
Jersey,
to be a part of New Jersey.
New Jersey. Yeah, the Jets, like they got some young talent. You know, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Garrett Wilson. They got some young studs.
I think the Jets are going to be good for years to come because they just, I mean, you're bound when you draft so many people high in the first round for years after years after years, you're bound to get some talent in there, and they finally got a competent head coach in there. I think they're going to be good for years to come.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, pretty much what I was going to say.
And their defense actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
The Sauce. I think that was Danny Football's defensive rookie of the year pick. We're gonna move on to Jack. Jack writes, actually, Zappe or Mac is the obvious one. That's what he wrote. Right now, I think you ride the hot hand and go Zappe. I mean, I don't think Mac's ready to go anyway, so I think you go with you got to ride.
Have to ride the hot hand. Have to
ride the Mac.
Right now, I'd still lean Mac, but if you want to ride the hot hand, I have no issue with it either.
All right, I think we're pretty much all in agreement there. This one comes from Lauren, the bride of a couple of weeks ago. She just got back from her honeymoon, or is coming back from her honeymoon. She writes, Celtics opening night. Great first night.
Solid win.
Night.
Good
Solid
win.
Yeah.
Coach of the year gets the first win of the season. Tatum drops 35, like Steve said, looking good for an MVP.
MVP numbers. 35 and 12. Is it too early to give it to him now?
Don't forget your sixth man of the year, Brogdon.
Brogdon had a
I was
good
just
day.
about to check his stat line.
Yeah, I think he had like 16 or something like that.
Jaylen Brown has 35. What are we doing here? Co-MVPs. Just give it to him now.
Why not?
She also writes, how my fantasy team stinks. Join the club. And she also said the husband will, wedding present. We'll give a few topics here. She writes, Deb says, should Mac Jones start over Zappe? We've already kind of talked about that, but good questions. Congratulations again. This one comes from pro golfer Ame. He got in on the action for you. He writes predictions on the Celtics record and who is the biggest sleeper on the team / who is going to be the biggest surprise player. I think we already kind of talked about it. I think we all agreed. I think anywhere in the 50s for wins. I think 56 is a great 55, 56 wins. I think that's a good prediction. Biggest sleeper on the team.
I mean, I myself, if I'm thinking like sleepers on the team, I mean, it's got to me, I feel like it's still Al Horford.
I was
So
just going
because
to say Al.
I think he's the glue to the team. And, like if Al's like hitting his shots, I've always felt like if he's hitting his shots, then that's when like you're in for a good game. Yeah, I'd lean Al.
Any given night, I'd say Al, because he's going to get the minutes he's going to play. I mean, today he played 23 minutes. He had 6 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist. A guy that didn't really get in the game tonight that I think in the long run could be a sleeper or a difference maker on the team. There's a couple guys that come to mind. And it's the guys at the end of the bench. I think, Blake could have a couple big games with his veteran presence that could make a difference, especially with Rob out. But the guy that really came to mind was Sam Hauser, to be honest with you. Sam Hauser, we were talking before we started recording, Joe and I, and I mean, he played so well in the preseason. I think he could easily score 10 points off the bench any given night. Like if he can get hot quick, and I think he could develop into a nice scorer off the bench. The Celtics saw something in him. Otherwise, they would have got another player to replace him when all the rumors were happening. What are they going to do with this extra spot? They said, let's ride with Sam Hauser. So I think, barring someone gets hurt or something, I think Sam Hauser may make an impact. He's a sleeper. He's a sleeper option. He's not like that. He doesn't really stand out, but definitely has potential to be a sleeper impact on the season. This one comes from Ed. A lot of Celtics questions. LOL, I won't ask about he had a typo. I don't know if he has typos, but he's got to be careful how he texts his stuff to me. He says, I won't ask about how the Bills are having a hard time. Instead, do you think the C's take the championship this year? In a word, yes.
100%.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the C's are going to win the championship this year. This one comes from John Cleary. He says, Zappe fever, baby. Ride it. Ride the hot hand.
I got a fever.
This one comes from Vicky. Vicky says, why are you axing your whole fantasy football team? Vicky, because I'm 1-4. I got to make a move. I have to shake things up. Daily Football says, and it honestly was one of the biggest compliments I ever got in fantasy football. I don't know if you even remember this, Zach, but a couple years ago, he said, I loved what you did with your team. I struggled the first few weeks, and I totally blew up my entire team. I traded away everything, got some pieces in, shuffled it, and ended up making a playoff run. Biggest compliment I ever had from Danny Football was that
can't be afraid to blow it up.
And that's why my team is 1-4. I got to make, or 2 and whatever it is. Do the math. 2-3, 1-4. It's whatever that is, and that's why I'm going to blow it up. This one, oh jeepers, Paige. All right, Danny Football, you got to deal with this one. This one's to you specifically.
Oh Christ.
She writes, UMass sweeping Denver this weekend.
She didn't even watch the games. I guarantee you she didn't even watch those games. Guarantee she didn't even watch. She's a fake fan.
Any response to that?
I mean, it's great wins for the UMass team, but she didn't watch it, so it's hard to talk shit when you're not even watching the team. She had an opportunity to go to their playoff game out in Worcester, and she didn't even go. So again, I'll tip my cap to the UMass hockey team for beating the #1 seed twice, but I will not give Paige the satisfaction because I know for a fact she didn't watch either game.
Well, Paige, I know you listened to this part. Let us know if you did watch that game.
She didn't. I already know she didn't.
Joseph _ Celia, you do you have any ties to any hockey teams in the college hockey teams?
No. I mean, college sports, like I'm more of like a college basketball type of guy, but college hockey, um, I think it was like the BC High coach, not the BC High, the Boston College coach, like a family friend of mine, like used to like be kind of friends with him. I think it was the former coach, but as far as that, I really have no affiliations with college hockey.
Well, we extend our hand to you to join UMass little fan base, so
I like it.
you can join us.
More than
Join the
welcome.
good fight. This one comes from our own beloved producer John. It goes to Joseph _ Celia. He writes, "What's your favorite sports podcast based in Massachusetts?"
Based in Massachusetts,
Don't think too hard about this one now.
I'm gonna have to go with the Big Red Zone.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Gonna have
Great
to go with the
answer,
Big
dude.
Red Zone.
Well, without further ado, the final question, as always, it's going to come from ours, one top favorite fan of the show, Joseph _ Celia, biggest fan. He's going to get to read it live on the show. Joseph _ Celia, what do you have for your question this week?
So my question that I had was, name me any franchises in the Big Four sports that have been worse than the Detroit Lions. So
That's a good one.
I said, like if you're basically asking the question, like name the four franchises and four teams, and out of the four big major sports, like name the franchises that have been worse, and then stop when you get to the Lions. So I said the Buffalo Sabres, they've just been wretched. The Sacramento Kings, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Orlando Magic, and then the Detroit Lions.
I definitely put the Kings in there. Pirates definitely in there. Magic, they at least had that one run with Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard, yeah.
Football, this stuff with the Lions. I mean, it's just never gonna happen.
I at first was gonna put the Browns, but I'm like, but they went to the playoffs with Baker a couple of years ago. I mean, like the Lions, like if had they not been to the playoffs years ago, when I think they had Jim Schwartz as their coach, and you still had Calvin Johnson, you still had Reggie Bush, like they had a decent team with Stafford, but yeah, I think those are the teams that have been worse than the Detroit Lions overall.
I'm not a big hockey guy, so I do know the Buffalo Sabres are pretty awful. As far as for the NBA, I'd probably only put, like you said, I think the Kings would be there. The Magic is close.
I'd maybe put the Arizona Coyotes in there just because they completely lost their home arena. So
Oh yeah. I didn't even think of them.
They're down bad pretty good right now.
I'd maybe lean the Texans. The Texans always have a bad go of it.
Yeah.
The Bears. I mean, minus like back when they were wearing leather helmets, they have been really bad. But I mean, probably sooner than that. But they you get my point. They've just been pretty awful.
Had they not been to the playoffs this year, I would have added the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore's been bad for a long time now.
They have that like sneaky good year every so often. I kind of lean the Commanders or the Redskins or not the Redskins, the football team.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
The reason I maybe don't go over them is because over the Lions is because they a couple years ago, or was it last year? They had the Taylor Heineke year 2 years ago, where they
True.
made it to the playoffs, and they do have some good young pieces there. But they're right in the conversation there because they're always at the bottom of the food chain of the NFL. And then MLB, I just got to look at the teams.
I said Pirates.
Yeah, Pirates. I'd say the Royals are always terrible, but they were in that World Series.
They snuck a World Series in.
Yeah.
Athletics.
Oh yeah, the A's have been pretty bad.
The Rangers.
The Twins have been in hell for a while.
I mean, in terms of like laughing stock, you can even say like the Angels. Just like you have the two best players in baseball, and they still can't make the playoffs.
I mean, the Mariners up until this year too.
Yeah, I mean the Rockies have been terrible. The Reds are always bad.
The Reds are probably a good one.
Same.
It hasn't really been the same since they had freaking Pete Rose.
Stan Musial. They haven't been good since Pete Rose. Then they banned. Hey, I got to ask you, Joseph Scorsese. I don't know if you've mentioned it. Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, yes or no?
100%.
There it is.
My guy. That's my guy. Listen to him.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna say this to our listeners. Barry Bonds belongs in the Hall of Fame. I'm just gonna say that again.
Nice.
Our Big Red and I were talking about it. I think before the pod. Bonds belongs in it. Pete Rose belongs in it.
Roger?
Yeah.
Clemens?
Yeah.
Schilling?
Yeah. I put Schilling there.
My guy.
Just because like 04 alone, I'm like, yeah, you have to put him there.
I could talk about this for the next half hour about how, I mean, he has 3 championships on 2 different teams and was an ace on all 3. It was a top pitcher on all 3. So it's absolutely. So, see, Joseph Celia leaves with a banger and absolutely comes out with great points at the end of the pod. So that's the People's Topic. Thank you for everyone writing in. As always, you can write on our Instagram and Twitter page at Big Red Zone. Leave us a comment. Make sure you let us know what you want. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Make sure you also go on our Spotify, Apple Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Hit the like button on this video if you haven't already. And hit the like button on all our other videos. Also hit that notification button in there. And as always, please tell a friend. My thanks, as always, to Danny Football. But our special guest, Joseph _Celia, #1 fan of the Big Red Zone. Thank you for joining us tonight, Joseph.
Thanks, guys.
And we look forward to hearing from you each week. And as always, thank you to my co-host, Danny Football, for joining. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, guys.